Justin, you'll be okay, whatever. I'm not worried about it.
Hello, this is Elaine.
Hi, Elaine. Spencer Hackey here. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Do you have time right now to meet?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, this is
wonderful.
fine.
Wonderful. Well, let me just quickly introduce myself. I work at BYU, Idaho. I'm a professor there. I teach public speaking, life skill classes, and I run the presentation practice center part of the tutoring center. And I'm doing my sabbatical because I wanted to research um, hireability, promotability, employability of BYU Idaho students, and mostly just trying to figure out what does the workforce need, and are we providing that as an education at BYU Idaho? So it's kind of finding the it factor. Do you know what I mean by the it factor? It's just like, yeah, they have it, and I want that on my team.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I think with new grads, it's probably about standing out and differentiating yourself. And
Okay.
So I think communication skills play a big part in that. And willingness to learn and be teachable, and ways that they can demonstrate their initiative in other areas.
Okay.
Like, even if they don't have work experience, they've taken extra initiative to, kind of learn things on their own that weren't part of their classes, or, to do projects or pursue things.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this. When we're looking at the finding stage, when you think about the best people that your company has hired or that you've seen, how were they first discovered and noticed?
Well, that's a hard question for me to answer because, I've worked for larger companies. So, like, the company I'm with now has 20,000 employees, but the two companies prior, they each had over 70,000 employees. And so companies of that size, it's all recruiters, who has had the first contact, and then they'll recommend their short list to the hiring manager.
Okay.
So I don't have as much insight into that piece.
Okay. Well, let me ask you if you have this one. So when you get a pile of resumes or applications, what makes one person rise to the top before the interview stage? Can you speak on that, or is it kind of the same thing?
No, I would say a well-organized resume that speaks to measurable accomplishments.
Okay. I like that. Measurable accomplishments, like quantifiable, like these, like, all right. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, when it comes to the interview stage, are there any qualities or skills that make someone stand out during the initial hiring process beyond their resume or formal qualifications?
Yeah, I think the being able to articulate their point. Some people tend to ramble. They get nervous and they talk too much, or their mind blanks and they talk too little.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think practicing and actually practicing interviewing so that they feel a little bit more comfortable, so that their nerves aren't throwing them off. Like, interviews are hard enough.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's pretty high stakes.
Yes.
Are there any common reasons someone gets hired even when there are multiple qualified candidates? Is there like anything that stands out?
Yeah, when there's multiple qualified candidates, then they'll often be looking for a fit with the team or a cultural fit, somebody that they feel comfortable with, someone they might be looking at, okay, who's going to, they may be looking with an eye of succession planning of, do I think this person is just going to stay at this level, or do I think that they're actually somebody who would learn and actually be promotable, in the next few years.
Okay, so there's elements of being teachable, maybe looking ahead for leadership qualities and such.
Yeah.
Okay. Are there any warning?
Maturity.
Oh yeah, perfect. Are there any warning signs or gaps that make you hesitant to hire someone, even if they appear qualified on paper?
Well, sure. So I did an interview the other day with someone who is basically a process engineer, and he had a lot of things on his resume, but we questioned him different ways, and he's a process engineer, but he couldn't really explain the process that he goes through on some of his projects. And so it's like, well, it seems like that's a fundamental thing. You need to be good at seeing the big picture and how things link and how one thing leads to another, and so that you can solve problems. But he wasn't able to paint that picture for us. It was just more like, this was the project and this was the outcome. And we tried to push him to tell us, what happened in the middle of all that. And we were getting nothing.
Oh, interesting. Was it a matter of he couldn't communicate it, or there was like holes in his resume that like he inflated his resume and it wasn't really what he was doing?
That's really hard to tell.
Okay.
He English wasn't his first language, but he seemed to have a very comfortable command of it. So I don't think it was that he didn't understand. And I've met many people from other countries who have a much worse grasp of English, but yet they're able to still communicate the concepts in an effective way. And he just wasn't able to.
Okay. Are you involved with promotions and such, or just the hiring process?
No, I'm involved with promotions.
Are there any qualities, behaviors, or skill gaps that prevent people from being promoted, even when they're technically good at their jobs?
Yeah. Sometimes little things make a difference. And so, for example, there's one manager who, I guess, the director, the regional director at the corporate level, had one encounter with this person and decided that he wasn't well spoken and rambled too much. And so therefore he's not now or not ever going to be plant manager material. And so therefore, why invest any time in him, because he's not promotable. However, we got a new plant manager in who decided not to take his boss's advice and just kind of, observe for himself. And he totally feels like he can be developed. He's promotable. There's some things that we need to polish, but because he, I think, didn't show his best at a key moment, then it's really hard to change that other person's mind.
Yeah. Oh, interesting.
But then we work with him every day in person, and he's great. He's inspirational. Yeah, he's a little bit long-winded. He could come to the point more quickly, but everybody loves him, and he engages well with the employees, and they trust him and look up to him.
Interesting. So you would say that one situation with where he didn't communicate effectively affected him getting promoted with the right person.
Yep.
Yeah, interesting. Um, when you think about the people who are most successful in your organization, what qualities, characteristics, or skills do they consistently demonstrate?
I would say I guess there's a lot of things that could be at play, but uh, one of the things, well, a number of things, it could be energy and passion. So if even if they're really effective, if they don't show enthusiasm and passion, they're going to be at a disadvantage.
Okay.
So they need to bring the energy and they need to bring the excitement and show and kind of prove it and say, I'm so excited about this. I worked on X, Y, and Z because this was something that was near and dear to my heart, and I wanted to see these results. They want to see people who are results driven. How they do they act, or do they wait to be acted upon? And do they drive change, or do they let themselves be driven? And so those things are going to make a difference.
Interesting. There's some parallels there with acted versus being acted upon, right?
Mm-hmm.
I love that. All right, I've got one more question for you, and then I'll let you go. If you were to advise your 17-year-old self who wants to be hired, succeed, eventually be promoted, what would you tell yourself to develop first, and why?
I would tell myself to develop communication skills.
Okay.
And be able to speak. And, I think for myself, I'm shy. I can articulate things very well in writing, but I was never strong at talking and speaking with people. And that's a different skill. You can defend something or, put an argument on paper, but being able to talk and converse live and be able to, come up with ideas on the fly and explain them and defend a point. I just think that that's really invaluable, and most people underestimate how much communication, what a part it plays in your success.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Well, Elaine, I appreciate your time. This is very valuable for me, and just so you know, as I'm looking through this and I'm finding themes, because my goal is to interview 100 people. I'm finding themes that I can literally take back to BYU Idaho and say we can do better at this, this, and this. And so, and there's some things that you've said that it's like, yep, that's what everybody's saying. And so because communication is one of my biggest things as a public speaking teacher, that if we say we're graduating competent and effective communicators, we need to make sure we're doing that. And it's very refreshing that that's kind of a theme that you had with this. So I really appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah. Well, do you have any questions for me that I'd be happy to answer before I let you go?
I don't think so. I hope it was helpful, and sounds like an interesting study. And I think it's great that you're looking at that and ways to help prepare the students, because that'll make a big difference in a lot of lives.
Good. I'm hoping so too. Well, good. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. And if you need anything, you can text me. I'm happy to do that. Do you know of anybody else that I could talk to that would be effective in helping me gather my information?
Off the top of my head right now.
Okay.
No, but I will text you if I think of somebody.
Okay. And I'll reach out in a couple days, just see if there is anybody. And but I really appreciate the time you've spent with me tonight. So
Yeah, you're welcome.
okay.
All right. Good luck with everything.
Thanks. Have a good night.
Okay, you too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.